L-artista ċipriotta Klitsa Antoniou hija waħda mill-artisti li se jirrappreżentawna fl-edizzjoni li jmiss tal-Biennale ta' Venezja. Antoniou tmur lil mill-ispazji fiżiċi immedjati u minflok tħares lejn il-Mediterran b'mod partikolari lejn proġett ta' arkitettura u ta' inġinerija fil-bidu tas-seklu li fittex li jnixxef fil-Mediterran sabiex ikun hemm gwadann akbar ta' art.
Atlantropa was a gigantic engineering project conceived and proposed by Hermann Sergel. He was a German engineer and he proposed to dry out the Mediterranean Sea, drain it and dump it, and so that he would create more land, so that he would create land bridges for people to cross from Europe to Africa. He was actually proposing the creation of a supercontinent called Euro-Africa. In his mind, even though to our ears it sounds very colonial, in his mind was a peaceful project. It was about creating peace in Europe. Nowadays, with all these people trying to cross the Mediterranean to find a better future and a better land, this project came up in my research as a possible solution because, you know, until the 1950s and 60s, this project was discussed even in the UN for a possible solution. Issues like displacement and dislocation has been a recurring subject matter in my work. As I'm a refugee myself, during the 1974 Turkish invasion in Cyprus, I became a refugee in my own country. As you know, 40% of the population of Cyprus was displaced because of this war. Therefore, these issues are investigated and expressed in my work continuously. So this is just another manifestation of this issue. I have many questions that lead my work, but you know, in art, it's desirable not to give answers. It's desirable to raise questions, and if you can manage to raise some questions, then probably you have managed to do something very important in your work. By creating an immersive environment in my work to make the viewers react to the work in an affective way, in a reactive way, so that they would feel or they would empathize with the refugees or the displaced people trying to cross the borders. We are lacking consciousness about the whole problem because the problem is not the refugees and it's not the displaced people. The problem is the real political problems causing these problems. I think we should, as a society, it is our duty to really look into the roots of this problem, which is not actually the displaced people or the immigrants or the refugees, but the situations and the conditions that are causing these problems, which might be the wars, which might be the ecological disasters. So for me, I mean, in Cyprus actually, we are more sensitive about these issues. Half of the population is already displaced. We are very empathizing and we are very sensitive about these issues, but perhaps we are not doing, in my opinion, enough about it. We could have done more. As you know, Cyprus and Malta have a very common past and I think a very common destiny. We have been occupied by the same people. We were a colony at the same time. We are both an island. We are faced with the same questions about borders and escape from these borders. And the Mediterranean is an subject matter that I have been investigating in both my academic research and my artistic research for many years now. I approach the Mediterranean as an open gate, as an exit to the world, and not just as a geographical area, as a geopolitical area. Because Mediterranean people have always been trying to set out, to go for a journey, to have an odyssey in their lives. So Mediterranean is a very particular place. It's a crossing in my mind. My decision to represent Malta was a very conscious decision. It was not accidental when I was proposed to participate in this open call. Because representing Malta is in tune with my philosophy for my art and my way of being and my thoughts about the Mediterranean for all these years. So it's like proving my research. It's a proof of my research that I'm transgressing my borders to another Mediterranean place. I'm interested in the Mediterranean as a sea, which is our border, because not many countries have the sea as their border all around them. I mean, if you go to the United States, for example, I met people who never considered reaching the borders of their country, whereas we are made up of these borders. Our psyche, our archetypal framework, I would say, has to do with these limitations we have around us, and we are very particularly, we're very conscious of crossing these borders. The process of working on the work at the moment, I'm making models, I am investigating possible setups of the work, even though the work is finished in my mind. Installing the work in the actual pavilion has a lot of particularities, so you have to take in consideration a lot of things, the light, the flow of people around the work. So the work will consist of two things. It will consist of an architectural area made of seaweed and some projections that actually people will be able to pass through them.